There we go. Did that do it? Let's see. Can you see or hear me right now, chat? Let me know. 5x5. Is it working? All right. Excellent. Well. Glad everything's in order. Welcome to Paleontologizing, everybody, and welcome to the Sacramento Zoo. I'm going to walk you around. We're going to do some exploring. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm glad you're here. And hey, Dad, how's it going? Welcome. Well, this is kind of a trial run for our trip to Florida, I guess, with the mobile data. But, yeah, this is my first time at the Sacramento Zoo. We're going to be walking around, and they happen to have a temporary animatronic dinosaurs exhibit. So I'm really looking forward to showing that off to you. And so far, I'm impressed. But yeah, but good to see everybody here. If it's anyone's very first time, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. We got a scrub jay and an American crow who just flew overhead. Very cool. And it's your zoo, Gregory? Well. Welcome to your zoo. My first time visiting. I'm excited about this. But anywho, introductions. I'm Danny. I'm a paleontologist. I work on dinosaurs. We're going to be looking at some animatronic dinosaurs today, so this is going to be neat. Without further ado, let's go walk around, shall we? This is kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. I wasn't really planning on doing this, but I was in the neighborhood and it just made sense. So, and let's see, mods, Claire, if I didn't have time to set this up properly, but if the Sacramento Zoo has a donate page, then it would be really cool to have a little blurb show up in the chat every few minutes if you want to paste it manually or something like that. But I want to do what I can to support the zoo here. So, yeah, mods, if you wouldn't mind putting something like that together, sharing a donation link with the chat, it'd be a nice way to support the zoo, I think. Yeah. But yeah, good stuff. I chose a little secluded spot to set up over here, but check this out. Pretty impressive. Right toward the entrance of the zoo, we've got this Maastrichtian dynamic duo, Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops. The T-Rex over here is to scale, and it's pretty impressive. Triceratops is a little too big. I've dug up a lot of trikes in my life, and none of them have ever been that large. But, yeah. The Tyrannosaurus, though, is pretty much to scale. Looks to be about 40 feet long. Skull looks about the right size. And we've got juveniles here. Juvenile Tyrannosaurus. And a little juvie Triceratops, too. Excellent. And I like that the forelimbs are mostly correct on this little guy. Everybody always gets Triceratops' hands wrong when they draw them or sculpt them. I'm impressed that they actually have the first 3 digits there, longer, and then the second 2 are almost vestigial, just like in a real Triceratops. Nice. Yeah. Arlie says, I don't think that rope rail is going to keep them penned in. Seems to be doing its job so far. But yeah, we will be seeing some live animals today too, but I think we might be paying special attention to the dinosaurs for today because that's my realm of expertise. We'll take a closer look at these guys in a minute. First, we'll go look at these brachiosaurs over here. That's pretty impressive, actually. I like that a lot. Kenji says, I don't know a lot of species, but Triceratops are one of my favorites. Yeah, well, they're one of my favorites, too, and I've dug up a lot of them over the years. That's the reason why they're one of my favorites. So Triceratops, even though it is very popular, I don't think you'll catch many paleontologists saying, oh, you know, that one's overhyped or anything. We know more about Triceratops than most other dinosaurs, and there have been more specimens of Triceratops excavated than maybe any other dinosaur on the planet. The cool thing about Triceratops is that it's from the very, very end of the age of dinosaurs, and it occurs in a bunch of states in kind of the Intermountain West of the U.S. So Triceratops was originally discovered in Montana, but they're also found in Colorado and Wyoming and the Dakotas. and also up into Saskatchewan and maybe Alberta too, up in Canada. But Triceratops, there have been probably about 1,000 specimens of it excavated, 1,000 different, anything from a complete skeleton down to just a few fragments. But that's more than just about any other dinosaur. Triceratops almost certainly holds the record for the most specimens from the most stratigraphic sections. So, like, it's not like it's from a bone bed where there's just 1,000 individuals in the same place. Instead, Triceratops is found across a wide area and then across probably over 1 million years worth of time. So we can actually see these animals evolving over time if you excavate enough specimens and if you pay very close attention to the stratigraphic context, you can essentially watch them change. Really, really cool stuff. There's basically no other dinosaur you can do that for. So Triceratops is pretty special in that regard. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Claire. That is perfect. I appreciate that. Well, let me change our stream title real quick, and I'll add !SAC Zoo to the title. Or actually, Claire, if you wouldn't mind doing that, adding that to the title, that would be superb, if that's possible. Thank you, Claire. Excellent. Saved me some time. Let's go look at these brachiosaurs. This is impressive. The head is a little wonky on this guy for sure, but I do like that they put the nostrils down by the snout rather than up on top of the head. Back when I was a kid, it was thought that the bony nares in the skull, the nostrils in the skull, actually correspond to where the fleshy nostrils would be in life. But recent work by people like Larry Whitmer, works on dinosaur soft tissue, figured out that there's probably like a fleshy tube that runs from the top of the head down near the end of the snout, so the nostril placement there is probably more correct than like you see in, say, Jurassic Park. But yeah. It's funny, they don't have to move much in order to be really impressive. It's it's pretty cool. And then we've got a juvenile here as well, who we can get much closer to. Very cool. This one almost looks more like Camarasaurus. I don't think we have a juvenile Brachiosaurus yet, so we don't really know what their skull would look like when they're this small and young. But this is maybe slightly smaller than life size for a dinosaur like Brachiosaurus. The head looks a little small on it, at least. But I don't know. And I'm not sure about those spines running down the tail and up the sagittal plane of the animal along the midline. I don't know if there's any evidence of that in Brachiosaurs, but I do know that in diplodocid dinosaurs, like Diplodocus, we do have evidence of those kind of iguana spines like that. You don't normally see them on Brachiosaurs in depictions of these animals. But I don't know if we really have evidence either way. Brachiosaurus is one of those dinosaurs that's less well known from fossils than you might expect, based on how popular it is, you know? So yeah. And I don't think we have any young Brachiosaurs, Crimson. No, I think that's still kind of scientifically unknown. But pretty darn cool. Yeah. And let's see. And Sporky says, does that mean Triceratops fossilized differently than other dinosaurs, like their bones forming in such a way? No, it's more that they're just really common in the Hell Creek Formation, and then the Lance Formation too, for that matter. And it's one of those dinosaurs that, like, lots of museums want to have a Triceratops specimen, because they're so charismatic. They make for a really nice display. And so, and they're also really diagnostic. So, like, if you find a Triceratops, you know you found a Triceratops. For the most part. So, like, if you have a small crew that goes out from some Midwest university and, you know, they spend a summer in the Hell Creek, chances are they're going to come back with a Triceratops because they're very common. But also they're just... everybody wants to put one on display in their museum. So they tend to get collected more often than other dinosaurs. But like I said, they're also very common. Triceratops is the most common large dinosaur in the Hell Creek Formation. But yeah, that skull is about twice as big as it should be, I guess. But the Tyrannosaurus, the proportions are, those are pretty okay. It's about real size. Last year, I 3D printed and assembled and delivered a life-size Tyrannosaurus skull to the Children's Natural History Museum of Fremont. So I'm pretty familiar with the proportions there, how big the skull should be. This is about right. Yeah. Crimson says, how does Edmontosaurus compare in terms of commonness with Triceratops? It depends where you're at in the Hell Creek Formation. Edmontosaurus is either the second or third most commonly found dinosaur. Tyrannosaurus is second in some parts of the Hell Creek. Or at least that's what we thought before we recognized that Nanotyrannus is probably valid. So maybe some of those Tyrannosaurus specimens will actually turn out to be Nanotyrannus and bring it down in the commonness rankings. But yeah, it's cool how much these things change as we learn more. But yeah, pretty neat. Value packs. Well, that's the weird thing about Triceratops is that unlike other ceratopsian dinosaurs that have been found in big groups, Triceratops skeletons are usually found by themselves, just one at a time. Maybe this implies that these animals weren't as social as other ceratopsids, or maybe they're just so big that, I don't know, like you'd have to dig a really, really big hole in order to find the second one if there's two in there. But I don't know, we've been digging up Triceratops long enough that I would suspect that if they did frequently get preserved in groups, we would know about that by now. But I don't know. Finding Triceratops in groups is very rare, apparently. Yeah. And I love that these are right next to these redwood trees. This is Sequoia sempervirens, the coast redwood, and relatives of these trees lived back at the same time as Triceratops and even earlier dinosaurs, too. So this is really fitting. These are beautiful trees here. It's impressive. You only get these near the coast. Trees like this, they require moisture from the air, so like coastal fog is how they're able to survive in a lot of places. And a changing climate here in California does threaten them. There's a lot of redwoods near where I live that are not doing so hot just because there's less fog than there used to be with climate change. But yeah. Anyway, and yeah, Sacramento Zoo, Fish Mike. Good to have you here. And I like this. Is this a bench over here, this Parasaurolophus, or is it just a model? This is lovely. Yeah, big fiberglass model of a Parasaurolophus. Looks like they've painted it up like in the Lost World Jurassic Park. Same color scheme. It's funny that, like, say you're running a company like this where you rent out big dinosaurs to zoos and botanical gardens and stuff like that. I feel like you might be more successful if you have your dinosaurs kind of hew closer to what people are expecting from the movies. You see that here? It looks, it's painted just like the Jurassic Park one. It's not a bad color scheme. I mean, it's really nice. It makes me wonder who first came up with that color scheme. It must have been when they were doing like concept art for Jurassic Park. So it might have been somebody like Ralph McQuarrie who originally colored it in. But yeah, it's a good color scheme. There they go, Crimson. Yeah. Anyhow, let's continue on. I see a big feathered dromaeosaur over there. That might be Utah Raptor. Let's go take a look. Past the trike and Rex again.
Can you turn around so I can take a picture of you with the dinosaurs?
Nice. Interesting, Crimson. Yeah, sure enough. Oh, Jim would be proud. And we've got the Jurassic Park sounds. I like the wobbly fingers. But yeah, this is maybe a little bit bigger than Utahraptor would be in life, but we don't really know exactly how big they get. But yeah, this is roughly the right size, about polar bear sized for an animal like this. Pretty impressive, and of course I love the feathering on it too. You know, I was wondering about this back in like the early to mid 2000s, how long it would take robotic dinosaur manufacturers to start putting feathers on these things, and how would they do that? And here, looks like they've just, you know, I guess molded and casted in like polyurethane. So we've got rubber feathers here, but does the trick. Yeah, very wiggly fingers. And what's funny is that the feathers should actually be running a little bit further down the hand. You should probably only be able to see the claws when you're looking from the palm side. Because just like in a modern bird of prey, say an eagle or a hawk or something, the feathers would be obscuring that. Because they don't actually come off of the... Many of the feathers don't actually come off of the arm so much as they come off of the wrist and the hand. So there should be feathers all over that part. But here, clearly they wanted to show off those claws, and that's understandable. Yeah, lovely. Not sure what's going on with that. The foot back there, though. Yeah. Pretty neat. Yeah. And then right here, Allosaurus and Stegosaurus. Yeah. I love this Allosaurus here. That is really nifty. It looks like it's supposed to be Allosaurus jamadsoni, the way that the skull is sculpted. Yeah. That is really neat. Very cool. Yeah, and that's about life size for a critter like this. People don't realize how big Allosaurus gets, you know? Some of the very largest specimens, or some bones from the very largest specimens, hint at a total length almost close to like 40 feet. So it's neat that we've got a subadult here too. Very nice. And there you go, Crimson. Although again, I think these are supposed to be Allosaurus jamadsoni rather than Allosaurus fragilis. The skull looks like jamadsoni. But yeah. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. And Lesnar says, would Allosaurus have feathers too? So we don't have evidence for feathers in Allosaurus in particular, or in any member of the Allosauridae, that whole family. No evidence of feathers in them yet. I wouldn't be surprised if they had feathers when they were very young, maybe as hatchlings, like sort of insulating down over them, kind of like on a baby chick. But yeah, no evidence of feathers in the adults. I don't know if we have good evidence of what their skin texture would be like, though. But yeah. Anyhow. And then we've got a Stegosaurus over here as well, with some pretty droopy-looking plates. And I don't know what's going on with those plates sticking out of the sides of the neck. But it does give you a good sense for the scale for these animals. Stegosaurus is not quite as big as a lot of people imagine. This one here would probably be close to maximum size for these critters. But pretty darn cool. And again, they don't have to move too much just to be able to be compelling. It's yeah. Sorry if I'm not particularly talkative right now. I'm really enjoying this. Very, very cool. Allosaurus is definitely my favorite one of these so far. That is pretty excellent. I love that they really got the shape of the head correct here. It's not easy to do when you're manufacturing animatronic dinosaurs, so that's pretty nifty. The tail's a little wonky there. That tail spike going askew, but that's probably not abnormal in the sense that if these animals are using that as a weapon, you know, occasionally you would get some deformities, some battle damage, a couple of spikes askew. So I'm sure that wasn't intentional here, but if we wanted to, we could kind of explain that away. If anything, I would make the plates a little bit bigger, especially along over the hips. Those are the largest plates are on Stegosaurus. And maybe they look smaller because they're drooping. I think the sun isn't doing them any favors. But I love this, If anything, too, I might have made the forelimbs a little bit smaller. Stegosaurus has really weird proportions in that the hind legs are so much longer than the arms. And I don't know if this quite gets that idea across. They could have really played that up a bit more, and they wouldn't have been wrong, you know? So, yeah. And yes, Stegosaurus have been found with wonky spikes and plates, for sure. Pathologies on those. There's a lovely clip in an old episode of Paleo World with Laurie McWhinney, who's the namesake for Gastonia Laurie McWhinney, that armored dinosaur. And she was CT scanning a Stegosaurus spike that had been injured, and it had clearly had been injured and then healed. It has this really scraggly, like, pathological tissue all over it. And maybe that's what killed the animal eventually. But, yeah. Anyway, here we are. I love this, where rather than handing out paper maps, they encourage people to just take a picture on their phone. So let's see, we're right here. Basically right here. We might go see here we are. Okapi Trail, Ground Hornbill. Nice. And then downtown Sacramento's off in the distance. Very cool. And yeah, you should come out here sometime, Claire. I'm impressed so far. It's my first time at the Sacramento Zoo. I think this is pretty darn cool. I'm very spoiled living in Oakland. The Oakland Zoo is beautiful and very well respected. I've never heard much about the Sacramento Zoo, and I wonder why, because it's pretty cool. Speaking of pretty cool, take a look at this. I love that. I wonder if they did this special for Sacramento Zoo, given that they've got a hornbill here. But they're asking you to compare Utah raptor and a hornbill. Hornbills are some of my favorite extant birds. They're very charismatic, and they go through these dramatic ontogenetic changes. So the casque, the big crest on the head of a hornbill, it changes a lot as the animal grows. There's also a lot of individual variation. It's pretty cool. There's a squirrel scampering around on top of the enclosure there. He's hopped up on a tree. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see any hornbills today. They might be hiding for the moment. Yeah. But neat. I'm glad that they've got some signage here encouraging people to think of the link between dinosaurs and birds, and keeper notes here. It says meet Mark and Roxy, Abyssinian ground hornbills. Oh, and there we are. Hello, you. Are you Mark or are you Roxy? Very cool. Man, they're so big. That Hornbills are so neat. And they do spend a lot of time on the ground. That's why they get, like, frequent comparisons to theropod dinosaurs, to non-avian theropod dinosaurs, is they're often seen just walking around in the way that you'd imagine a dromaeosaur to do.
Ontogeny.
Very cool.
Ontogeny.
Wow. The blue coloration, all that soft tissue around the neck, the head. Very cool. Excellent. What a cool critter. Oh. Who is it? Very cool. And we'll continue on. Let's see, I think we've got okapi at the end of this trail, so hopefully we'll see them too. Pretty big enclosure for the hornbills. It's nice to see. Got plenty of room to roam around in. Hopefully lots of activities to do. They're such clever, such intelligent birds. You need to keep them occupied, you know? Give them things to do. And I love this too. I think this is one of these things that it's one of the less noticed but still valuable parts of zoos like this is oftentimes you have people who maybe they're volunteers or zoo employees, but they're really into plants and into native plants and providing a little bit of habitat for native creatures within the zoo as well. So we've got yarrow right here, which is a native California plant. You find it all over the place. Pollinators love it. And then manzanita too. I'm looking to hopefully plant some of this at home in my yard in the next year or so. But it's our classic California foliage here. I love manzanitas. And there's so many critters that come to visit to eat the berries and hang out on the branches. And that's some excellent habitat for a lot of different critters. Yeah. I like this opossum sculpture here. This is neat. Cool. All right, I think the okapi might be over here. Let's have a peek around. And the ferns, yeah, we have a lot of sword ferns here in California. And I think that's what these are. I forget the genus name for the western sword fern. But that's what this looks like to me. I think it's a western sword fern. Really lovely. Yeah, they require a lot of moisture. But, yeah, they're fairly slow growing. I've got one in my yard, actually. And, yeah. There's something very cool about ferns. All right, let's see if we can spot the okapi. There we go. And there we are. Yeah. There's one way over there, eating out of the feeder. And here's one right over here. Very cool. So this is the closest living relative of the giraffe. I think they might actually be within family Giraffidae. Hopefully you can see the resemblance there. Yeah. What a cool critter. Let's see if we can get a little closer. There we go. Beautiful. So it took a surprisingly long time for okapis to be discovered by scientists, because they tend to live in pretty densely forested areas. So it wasn't until, I think, like the 20th century that they were properly scientifically described. They're one of the last, like, really big mammals to be brought to the attention of science, on land at least. Yeah. And unicorn cousin? No, so these are related to giraffes. Yeah, so they're, I think, somebody can look it up, but I'm pretty sure they're part of Giraffidae. They're part of the giraffe family. Oh, hello. And you can see the way that they eat, too. They've got that long, almost prehensile tongue. They use for manipulating their food, for reaching up and latching onto branches that are just a little bit too tall to grab with their mouths. But just a beautiful animal. It's not quite known what the stripes on the legs are for. They might be for individual recognition. They might be to help break up their silhouette in the forest, kind of act like camouflage. Yeah. Pretty cool.
I think they're very territorial. Let's check them out.
Very cool. An alien energy. Oh, thank you. Oh, very cool. Let's check out that plaque. Yeah, there we go. Mo there. From Disney's Animal Kingdom. Very cool. Oh. Born in September 2012. Very cool. Yeah.
Mommy's okay. One's rainbow and one's green.
So Mo and Forrest can be seen out on habitat. She, it sounds like, gave birth to a baby, and so baby, and so her and her baby.
That's impressive, Murph. Wow. Pretty prolific. Oh, hello.
Oh, so that one is the kid?
I think they're off habitat to get used to life.
Very cool. Look at those big ears. Much larger than on a giraffe.
My mother has one right here.
So in like a dense forest environment, hearing is going to be one of their primary means of defense, being able to hear a predator sneaking up on them.
That's here.
So very large ears. Just beautiful.
See her big veins on her ears? Do you see the big veins on her
Yeah.
And not being made. And actually being told that the really big answer, those ears taking in all this sound.
And then,
And so I had a conversation with her
those
today.
patterns are so cool.
Where I was like, hey, I just have that.
Very cool.
Oh, we're not Disney's Animal Kingdom. What is that, bud? I know. I know. I know. Definitely a very interesting looking upside, huh?
Look how close he is. You see that, Cedric?
That's not Mo. That's not Mo? No, the butt stripes are different. Is it Cutie or Forest? I think it's Forest. Two butt stripes. I'm used to the face. I love how they show the butt stripes, how you can just I think it's Forest. No, sweet. Yeah.
Look at there's bamboo planted around here too.
Hey, I know you were planning for an off-cycle commercial raise, but I just heard that those aren't allowed anymore. Like, you can only give me more stocks, which I'm not interested in more stocks. But yeah, I'm interested in a level change with a raise. Yeah. And she was like, oh no, I think there's a way, I think there's a way. And I was like, okay, then can you figure it out, because if there's not this window in September, the next window is in March, and I don't think I don't know if I can wait that long.
But you have to set your boundaries. You're like, letting you know now.
Especially since I got asked by recruiters I was interested in the VP of operations job. So like literally the thing that they said I wasn't qualified for at a level higher, I'm now getting recruited for.
Well,
And so I'm like,
well. How the tables have turned. Well, that's very exciting.
yeah, internal or external?
Was it good?
External.
I was going to say it's internal. You go.
Yeah. But it's for a supply chain company, but they want me to go into SF a few days a week, and I'm like, so I'm just like using it as like practice for like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they offered to like help me make, because I guess my resume doesn't read executive, so they're like, oh, just do like a free executive, like review. And I was like, cool, yeah, might as well. Like, let me take advantage of what it takes to be an executive.
What do you want to go see? Come on. Okay, I'm watching.
Wow, you are beautiful. Looks like you ate all the leaves there. They're all gone. Can you reach those ones? Oh, I would help you if I could.
Giraffes look before they come by. Yeah, look. They can't They're like a giraffe.
Yeah.
I think so. Whoa, what's that? Cousins. Look, it's like... Oh, I just saw it.
Oh, got one. Nice.
I love it.
That doesn't make it dry.
You gotta go away. Go a little further.
Oh, almost.
Someone got a little.
Got part of it.
See
Do I
how
go
they
sit down?
teach the
Sit inside.
branches? That's why they make them different.
I don't know what Cedric's like at daycare, but from the pictures it looks like he's nonstop. And then he has like the hour after he wakes up, and he's like, he wakes up like
Nice.
He's just a little, often wakes up like he has slept for 12 hours and he is just like ready to go.
he wakes up hard.
Yeah.
He wakes up like John.
Yeah. He's just like, hold on, you gotta give me a few minutes. I'm just like, waking up.
Like there's been a few times where we've woken him up out of the car and like tried to go immediately into something, and he's like,
Oh, he goes, no, mama. You're like, you need to wait. You need to give me a minute. You trying to sew? Where are you going?
he's like, if you got out, I get out.
You are the silliest of boy.
Yeah.
Are you so silly?
Yeah, so Catherine's doing nothing that she should be doing.
I didn't do anything when I had my C-section either, and I recovered beautifully. So I'm good. Bye-bye. Sounds reasonable.
Also sounds exactly like
It
what I would
literally
do.
said, like, make sure you stay active. You're proud.
It also says not to pick up a gallon of milk. He weighs more than a gallon of He did good the first day.
I just did
And then we
this.
picked him up.
And then the second day, I Daddy gets kisses from mama. Want to get nuts?
Nuts.
Whoa. I was like, wow. Want to get nuts? Nuts? Auntie and Bendy and nuts. Yes. Now that. Whoa. That. What about Austin? You want to give her nuts to Austin? Nuts? What about you? I like your shirt. Oh,
You gotta close your hands.
oh, yep, you got it. Oh my goodness. Good job, bud. Can we grab it?
Yes, actually.
What a beautiful animal. Yeah. So it makes sense that they've planted a lot of bamboo in here because it's so fast growing. I mean, these guys eat it up. So again, I hope everybody at home is seeing the resemblance here between the okapi and its closest living relative, the giraffe. I think they split pretty long. It was something like 20 million years ago, something like that. Somebody could look at one zoom and figure it out exactly. But they've been separate for a good while, but you could still see that family resemblance. Yeah. What a cool critter. Love okapi. They're so neat. They don't move like horses or antelope at all? Exactly, Craigery, yeah. Yeah, well, horses are actually way distantly related. Horses are perissodactyls, so they're closer to tapirs and rhinos. But these guys are related to, like I said, giraffes. And then after that, their next closest relative is the American pronghorn. And then after that, things like goats, I think, caprids. Yeah, very, very different from a horse. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Claire. Excellent. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this. Holy cow. I'm so glad this worked out today. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to make it here. Yeah. Oh, only 6.48 million. Interesting, Puggo Wuggo. I guess that makes sense based on how similar they are. Yeah. And no, not too hot, Claire, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, we should move on. I'd love to spend all day with the okapi. But there's lots of other critters to see, including a bunch of animatronic dinosaurs, so we'll continue on. Yeah. Murph says, some call the okapi stripes the follow-me stripes, as the young can use them to follow them in dense jungle. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And hey, Otter Do It, welcome, welcome. Yeah, we just got done visiting with the okapi. What's the genus and species name for the okapi? I don't know if I know off the top of my head. If the genus name were okapi, that would be cool. It'd be very memorable. But Moonbutter, great to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. Alright, let's continue on. But that's been my favorite critter so far, is the okapi. Very, very cool. What a beautiful animal. Yeah. And you'd kind of never know that we're just outside of, like, downtown Sacramento. It's right over there. Right here in the capital of the most populous state in the United States. What a hidden gem here, Sacramento Zoo. Very cool. I gotta come back sometime. Let's see what else we can see. I think we just did. That is very cool. Oh, I love this. Where's Alexander Morrison? Got a big concrete crocodilian. I love this. This reminds me of, yeah, growing up, my Nana, she had a house up in Fairfield, California. And when we'd go up to visit her, me and my brother, she had a big concrete crocodile out front. And I don't know where she got it. I don't know if it came with the house or what. It wasn't as big as this. It was maybe about the size of like a German Shepherd dog or something. But I thought that was so cool. It's the coolest thing in the world. And when she moved away, she left it. And I don't know if the new owners of the house have kept it outside, but I remember helping paint it one year with my dad. Because, you know, out in the elements, the paint would fade. And, yeah. I'd love to find one of those and photogrammetrize it so I could do a 3D print and then print it out for her. Maybe one day. Yeah. Not sure who's here in this enclosure. Not sure if anybody is. We'll continue on. Ooh. And here, we've got the cheetah enclosure. I don't know if we'll be lucky enough to see the cheetahs. Let's see. Nobody so far. I wouldn't be surprised if they're hanging out in the air conditioning right now. I think they have in and out privileges. They can go into the little night house if they want to, and I bet you that's where they are right now. But Axionyx jubatus. You know, that's a pretty common species name for a lot of different critters, jubatus. I wonder what that means. Jubatus. If somebody wants to look that up, I'd be fascinated to learn what it means. The dinosaur formerly known as Ubirajara from Brazil. The species name for that was jubatus. Oh, and there's the cheetah. Hang on, it's right there. He's having a rest. In the background, see him? Or her? Yeah. Pelgo says they're quite anxious animals, aren't they? I think they're certainly not the most outgoing. They can be skittish for sure. So cheetahs are famous for being very fast runners. A lot of people don't realize they're also very fast eaters. Because they're not built for fighting, they don't like conflict, and so when they catch a prey item, they try and scarf down as much of it as they can, as quickly as they can. Because lots of other critters will come over and bully them away from their kill and eat it instead. So hyenas will do this, lions will do this, I think Cape hunting dogs might do this. Vultures, if there's enough of them, Cape vultures might do that too. So cheetahs have to eat very quickly because oftentimes they get driven away from their food. And maned or crested, that makes a lot of sense, Miss Capri Cal. Thank you. Yeah, crested. Thank you, Blake the Snake. Yeah. And MS Coggins says, are they the only cats that can't purr either? No, so a bunch of large cats can't purr. It has to do with the hyoid bone in their throat. So you have what are sometimes called the roaring cats. Those are like lions, tigers, leopards, I think. And they can roar, but they can't purr. And then other cats like pumas, a.k.a. mountain lions, a.k.a. cougars, they can purr, but they can't roar. If that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. The Dutch name for cheetah is literally translated hunt lazy horse. Is that right, Lucas? Wow. That's funny. Yeah. Really cool. I'll see if we can get closer maybe if these people move. But yeah. Miss Capri Kel says a puma's scream is terrifying enough. I mean, it is. Yeah. Years ago, I went out with a gal who told me a story. She had gone solo camping on the Marin Peninsula, kind of near like Point Reyes, north of San Francisco. So she was there in her tent by herself. Middle of the night, she just hears this curdling scream. And she's like, it sounded like a woman screaming, like she's being murdered or something. Of course, she's terrified there in her tent, and somehow managed to fall asleep later on, and got up, and there were big paw prints all around her tent in the sand. And it had been a mountain lion, a puma, had been walking around and screaming in the middle of the night. Yeah. Nice, digital deck from Marin. Cool. I live in Oakland. Yeah, up here in Sacramento for the day. Anyway, very cool. We actually got to see the cheetah. Wasn't expecting that. What a treat. Very cool. World's fastest land animal. Well, unless you count peregrine falcons. But yeah. Yeah. Alright, let's continue on and see who else we can see. See if we can find the rest of those animatronic dinosaurs, too. Got a veterinary hospital here. Oh, and, well, not quite animatronic, but lovely nonetheless, Camarasaurus. Almost walked right by. I'm pretty sure I know this exact specimen, too. I think this is actually the juvenile Camarasaurus skeleton from Dinosaur National Monument. It's now at the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh. And it is one of the most complete sauropod skeletons in the entire world. I have files for that. I gotta print that at some point. I have files for the skull. I could 3D print that at home. I had it printed before, but that's now at the Children's Natural History Museum of Fremont. But really lovely. I'm not sure how old this animal would have been. They hatched out of an egg no bigger than like a soccer ball. And they would grow pretty quickly, so I don't know. You would still call this a juvenile. It would probably be, I don't know, if I were to guess, maybe 5 years old, something like that. But yeah, pretty awesome. Camarasaurus. Pugga Wugga says, bro's neck so short? I mean, no, I wouldn't say that's short. There's definitely sauropod dinosaurs who have longer necks than Camarasaurus. But, yeah, I don't know, it is what it is. Camarasaurus often gets mentioned as like a smaller sauropod dinosaur from the Morrison Formation, but they get pretty big. Especially the larger species like Camarasaurus grandis. They could be 60, 70 feet long, maybe. So again, just a juvenile here. But very cool. It was neat stuff. And Trek Nerd says, I really need to get a 3D scanner so I can scan such things. If you have a smartphone, you don't really need a scanner nowadays. There's lots of apps, like the Polycam is the one that I really like. You should check that out. It's free. Anywho, so we are right here at the back of the zoo right now. Let's go see if we can see some African birds, maybe some giraffes, meerkats, river otters. See who else we might encounter. You like meerkats, Little Pink Pony? Very cool. A lot of folks don't realize meerkats are a kind of mongoose. They're part of family Herpestidae. And, yeah, they don't often get lumped in with mongoose for whatever reason, but, yeah, members of that family. All right, let's see who we can spot back here. Ooh, red-billed hornbill. Where are you? Not sure we'll be able to spot this hornbill. Hear him. Where are you right now? Might be hiding inside of the nest box. Oh, no, there we go. You can barely see through the mesh. There we go. Yeah. Very cool. There's our hornbill. Beautiful. Up. There we go. Very cool. I'm not sure how many species there are of hornbill in Africa, but there's a good number. And they're such cool birds. I don't know. I think I've got a special place in my heart for those species of bird who spend a lot of time on the ground. The ground is a rough neighborhood when you're a bird, so like... Yeah, it's not easy to survive and make your living as a bird who mostly hangs out on the ground. So anytime somebody manages to do that, it's kind of impressive. And oh, this is the same camera I've always had. Yeah, it's a like little Sony action cam. There's our giraffes over there. Wow. You can hear there's a road that runs right behind this. Imagine driving by and you just see, like, oh, yep, there's giraffes behind the fence. That's so funny. Oh, very cool. Neat. So again, we were just talking about giraffes the other day, back in my office. Very cool critters. Peter Poik says, do giraffes have two hearts? Two giraffes will have two hearts, but each giraffe just has one heart. They do have a lot of interesting adaptations to be able to pump blood up to their head through that really long neck. So, if I recall correctly, they've got special, almost like one-way valves in their arteries that keep the blood from flowing down, because they're fighting against gravity there. So I think it almost works like a ratcheting system where it's easier to go up than to go down. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a baby making that noise. Baby human being. Yeah. Look at them just hanging out in the shade. We've got that one leaning against the fence, trying to get some plants down there. It is pretty funny just when you're around herbivore enclosures, seeing where the plants have been trimmed. These guys are hanging out in the same area all day, every day for the most part. And they, anytime plants creep up above a certain level, they can get at them. That's what he's trying to do back there. I can see him through the slats in the fence. Yeah, what cool critters. So it's been said enough that it's almost a cliche at this point, but a giraffe has the same number of vertebrae in the neck as we do. Nearly all mammals have the same number of neck bones. Same number of cervical vertebrae. 7. So rather than just multiplying the numbers of vertebrae like, say, a reptile might do, with mammals, for whatever reason, they have to lengthen those vertebrae instead if they want to have a longer neck. And that's precisely what giraffes have done. Really cool. And Luke says, I heard that giraffes can't hold down their neck to drink longer than about 10 seconds. Is that true? I mean, this guy's been holding his neck down for much longer. But I think the real thing, like giraffes, they can't actually reach below their feet with their head. In order to be able to drink, it's really funny to watch them do this. They have to spread their arms way out to the sides so they can bring their chest close enough to the ground where they can reach and, say, drink out of a pond or a lake or whatever. Drinking water for them is kind of an elaborate process.
Now I think we're good.
Yeah. Really cool.
There is purposes, yes. And from learning specifically that we would be able to correlate wherever there is a correlation.
We'll see if we can go up here and get a closer look at the giraffes. Actually, I don't think we'll be able to. It's further away. Let's check out the desert tortoise, though. Pugga Wugga says, I fed giraffes at my local zoo a few times. I've done that, too, when I was a kid. We'll see the tortoise in a minute, because here we've got a lemur moving around. Hey, lemur friend. Hey there, fellow primate. How are you doing? Very cool. Oh. Yeah, look at you. So this is much like our ancestors would have looked like around 50 million years ago, something like that. Anything? We back? Okay. Sorry, one of the cables got jostled. That turned the camera off. It cut the power to the camera, and then that cut off the streaming service when it realized there was no camera. There's a lot of moving parts to an IRL streaming live setup like this. Apologies. But yeah. We're good now? Yeah. But yeah, lemurs. So I was saying earlier, lemurs are primates, like us. And this is about what primates would have looked like early on in their history in, say, like the Eocene period. So if you go back about 50 million years, this is what most, if not all, primates might look like. So it's cool to look at a lemur like this and have them look back at you and go like, hey, you look a lot like my ancestors, you know? I've been there. Feel a certain kind of kinship with them. And I think that's beautiful.
This is a longer
Oh, they're so much fun to watch. Do you hear that? Do you hear that kind of like creaking noise that you just made? Interesting. Very cool. So like probably the majority of lemur species, these guys are from Madagascar and also I guess from the Comoros Islands. Let's see, can anybody in the chat tell me what the Comoros are famous for? This island chain between Eastern Africa and Madagascar? Peter Poig says, why is their tail so long? That's kind of the basal condition for primates. So we've got a lot of vertebrae in there. Again, I'm not an expert in primates, but I know that some species have very long tails, and they're more or less prehensile. They can actually use them as like a fifth limb. I don't think lemurs' tails are usually quite that muscular, but they can use them for balance. They can use them for feeling around. You see that one in the back, that lemur there, keeps kind of throwing her tail over her shoulder, kind of wrapping up her torso with it. But yeah, those long tails can also be used to kind of show their mood. So when they're hanging out together, you know, they don't have the same kinds of facial expressions like we do. They don't have the same expressive eyes or eyebrows. Just like with a dog, they can use their tail to kind of tell each other how they're feeling. They're very social animals, so yeah, the tail is like a mood indicator in a way too. Yeah. Very cool. Here, I want to see if we can spot our desert tortoise over here. Doesn't look like they're in here. If we get lucky, we might be able to see them. There we go. Yeah, right over here. Hopefully the glare isn't too bad. Maybe I can use my hat to kind of shade it. But, yeah. Got a desert tortoise right there. Lovely critter. Oh, and then there's meerkats on the other side. Well, well, well. But quick note about tortoises and terminology. So tortoises are land-living turtles, but there's a specific family or maybe suborder of turtles that comprises the tortoises. So they're all related to one another. It's not like every turtle that's found on land is a tortoise. Certainly not. It seems a lot of people kind of have trouble with this. Tortoises are a kind of turtle. Turtles are the Testudines. They all evolved from a common ancestor back in what, like the Permian or the Triassic? It's where turtles first show up in the fossil record around, well, they probably show up before the first dinosaurs, but their early fossil history is kind of hazy. And then some turtles took to freshwater environments. Some turtles, lived up on the land surface. Some are adapted for burrowing. Some took to the oceans, became sea turtles. There have been like 3 or 4 different separate lineages of sea turtles that probably became marine independently of one another. Turtles are remarkably adaptable animals, and they can evolve to live in a whole suite of different environments. They're pretty impressive critters. Yeah, there we go, Iacane. And here's the meerkats. I don't know why there aren't people swarming around the meerkats. Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, see them there by the end of the tube? Hi there. These ones look pretty young. Still got big heads. And they love digging. They are fossorial, so meerkats are highly social animals. They'll live in these colonies, and they'll dig a network of tunnels. They watch out for each other, look out for predators, give warning calls and stuff like that. They're such cool animals. Years ago, there was a reality television show on Animal Planet called Meerkat Manor, I think. And I never really watched it, but I'm aware of it. I think the premise is that they just kind of follow a family of meerkats, and they name each one of them, and just gonna get to watch their daily lives and dramas and how they interact with one another. Yeah. Peter Poik says meerkats are that small? Yeah, they're not big critters. They're about squirrel-sized. They get a little bit bigger. But yeah. One funny thing that I've noticed when I go to the zoo is sometimes when I walk up to an enclosure, the animals walk up to me and want to check me out. And I wonder if that's what's going on here. I've been told it's that I dress kind of like a zookeeper. I don't do it on purpose, but maybe that's what they're responding to. They're like, oh yeah, you work here, right? No, I don't.
I just found it. Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Also right there.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Alright, let's see who else we can spot. Oh, and the giraffes are being fed right now, looks like. Yeah, cool. Very cool. Nice. Yeah. I was able to feed a giraffe once, several giraffes actually, at Marine World Africa, USA, back in the 90s. When I was a kid, I used to go there with my dad fairly regularly. And early on, if I remember correctly, they let you feed the giraffes just as like a random visitor. If you show up early enough in the morning, they'd be like, yeah, here's some lettuce, feed the giraffes. Okay. It's really cool. I don't think they do that anymore. Do they still have giraffes at Marine World? I hope so. They call it like Six Flags Discovery Kingdom or something nowadays. Yeah. There you go, I came out. Who's over here? Black and white ruffed lemur. We've been very lucky so far seeing these different critters. I don't know if we've had very many no-shows at all. But this might be one of our first. Black and white ruffed lemur. Inconspicuous right now. Oh, there we are, way in the back, you see? I've got these big, tufted ears and beards. They look kind of like, almost reminds me of, is it Gregory Peck in the 1954 film Moby Dick? He's got a similar kind of hairdo. Am I remembering this correctly? Beard like that. Yeah. Very cool. And I like this. How can you help? The Sacramento Zoo supports the Madagascar Fauna and Flora Group, which does important conservation work for the plants and animals of Madagascar. Just by coming to the zoo today, you've already helped lemurs in the wild. Very cool. Neat stuff. Okay, so moving from more basal primates to a bit more derived, we have the orangutans over here. There's one up there. Very cool. So these are some of our closest living relatives. First, of course, closest to us are the chimps and bonobos, who are about equally distantly related to us hominids, us humans. After that, you have gorillas, and then after gorillas, it's orangutans. So our lineage split with them. I actually don't know the number when our lineage split with that of orangutans, but it was fairly recently in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. But another one down there, messing around with that box. There's a famous, apocryphal story about European explorers visiting Borneo or Sumatra or something, someplace where they've got orangutans in the wild. And the local people were telling the explorers, oh yeah, orangutans, yeah, they're just like people, But, and they could talk, they could drive a car, they didn't have cars back then, but you know what I mean. But they're very careful to never talk around people, because people heard them talk, they'd give them a job, and then they'd have to go to work every day, and then they'd be just like us. And when I was a kid, I read this as oh wow, that's really funny that these people thought that about orangutans, and then later on I realized, oh, that's them making a joke. But they're remarkably, I was going to say they're remarkably human-like, but you know what, it's really the other way around. It's this morphology that came first. We're the newcomers, Yeah. Blue Throat says that's what I tried to do, but they forced me to work anyway. Yeah. I don't know. There's something admirable about the orangutans. They're still sticking it to the man. They're not getting a job. And I hope that's a good life they've got. It certainly seems like it. I've lived in apartments way smaller than this before. Oh. Very cool. Karajo says I wouldn't mind doing what they do. Fair, yeah. Nice. And you see, they've got these big fans over here. Blow air on them and help keep them cool. But they're smart too. They're hanging out in the shade. I don't know what the current temperature is right now, but if somebody wants to do the weather command for Sacramento, that would be interesting. Let's go see some zebras over here. There we are. So a zebra's stripes might not seem like particularly good camouflage, but can you see it right now? Here. How about now? Very cool. And got dark brown stripes on this zebra. I'm not sure which particular species this is. We can go look at the sign. But, yeah. 81 today. Nice. Grevy zebra, okay. Each zebra's stripe pattern is as unique as a person's fingerprints. This is why, you don't want to be going around committing a bunch of crimes as a zebra, too. You show up in some CCTV footage, they'll know it's you. Don't even need fingerprints. But they really are cool critters. Again, we were talking about perissodactyls the other day, the odd-toed ungulates, which is rhinos, tapirs, and the horse family, Equidae, which includes the zebra. And there's not very many species of them. There used to be so many more, but they've been in decline for a few tens of millions of years at this point. Probably about 20 million years they've been declining in number of species, while the artiodactyls, the even-toed ungulates, have been exploding in diversity during that time. And it does make me wonder what it is. Is it like the whole hindgut fermenting thing? It's just not as efficient for processing food? Or does it have something to do with the really slow gestation rates? Like, in order to have a baby, a zebra or a horse or a rhino or a tapir, they're pregnant for I think about a year or something like that. It's a long time. So they don't replenish their numbers as quickly as you might expect if there's some big event that happens, like a volcanic eruption or something. Yeah. And they can die from a stomachache. Yeah, little pink pony. So horses famously, they can't throw up. And it might have something to do with the way that their throats are constructed or something like that. But yeah. And 16-bit Eric, did you just raid in? Thank you for the raid. How are you doing? Welcome, raiders. Welcome to the Sacramento Zoo. I'm here in our state's capital, Sacramento. It's my first time visiting the Sacramento Zoo. We're checking out the animals, and also there's a bunch of animatronic dinosaurs here too, which is right up my alley. Because if you haven't met me before, let me introduce myself. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and I'm here on Twitch trying to do some good old-fashioned science outreach. So, talking about fossils, talking about the history of life on Earth, talking about creatures both extinct and extant, living. And, here we go. Let's take a look at this real quick. I love these bronze busts that they have of these different great apes. Yeah, this is like sexual dimorphism that they have. It's also a signal of maturity when they have these big cheek flaps like this. You can tell at a glance who is mature and who is not. Yeah. So the flanges, as they're called, serve a number of purposes, attracting surrounding females as potential mates, displaying dominance toward the other male orangutans, and act as an amplifier for their calls. It makes sense. It's like a big bullhorn almost. That's funny. It's the mechanical amplifier. But it does make me wonder if there's any osteological correlate to that. If you were just looking at the skull of an orangutan specimen, if you'd be able to tell if there's any indication that there might be those big fleshy flanges on it. I wonder if there's differences between, say, a male with the flanges and a female who doesn't have them. Whether that shows up in the bones, I don't know. Really cool. Yeah. And Lord Briarwood says, as a science teacher, we need more people making content like this. Thank you for saying that, Lord Briarwood. It's good to have you there. Yeah. And Ridlet, that's interesting. Yeah. Closest to humans in terms of social understanding? It makes a lot of sense. Again, we're not that distant from these guys. It's what, I think our ancestors diverged from that of orangutans. Somebody can look it up. I want to say it's 10 million years ago. So not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. Let's continue on over here and see what else we see. Rhinoceros. So I need to take a look at the mouth to be able to tell if it's a black or white rhino. Because the name there doesn't really refer to the color. They can be a whole range of different shades. The apparently white rhino is actually like a bastardization of an Afrikaans word, like wide rhino, because they've got a wide mouth. And that was kind of mistranslated into white rhino. They're not white. They're usually gray, light gray, dark gray, whatever. I think this is a white rhino. Wide rhino with a wide mouth. Black rhinos, their mouths come to like a pointy tip. White rhinos have a mouth that's kind of straight across. It's much broader. And, yep, that's a white rhino. I can see the mouth. I'm pretty darn sure. If you get your mouth out of the dirt, I can see. But this actually reflects differences in food preference. So white rhinos are more indiscriminate grazers. They've got a big, broad mouth. They'll kind of snuffle up whatever's there. Black rhinos are a bit more picky with what they eat. They've got a mouth that comes to that pointy tip. They're much more choosy. They could be much more... they can use that narrow mouth to pick up little bits of vegetation, just the choicest pieces. Yeah. Very cool. So this is the white rhino. That makes sense. Yeah, the mouth seems white. Again, that's the way that you tell, is looking at the mouth, and he's got his mouth up against the ground. But what a cool critter. Now, anytime we're at a zoo and we're talking about rhinos, I always bring up that they are originally from North America. Not white rhinos or black rhinos, but rhinos as a group. The first rhinos seem to have first evolved in North America. I think back in... Goodness, that would have been like early Oligocene, something like that? Somebody could look it up. But, yeah, there's a bunch of different groups of animals that first originated here on this continent. Rhinos, primates, camels, horses, and there's others too that I'm sure I'm not remembering. Again, I'm not an expert in Cenozoic mammals, but, or mammals in general. But we used to have all kinds of different species of rhino here in North America a few tens of millions of years ago. And then eventually the numbers petered out and species diversity declined, and now we've got none. But I did a stream at one point from ashfall fossil beds in Nebraska, and that is chock full of fossil rhinos. Genera like, I think, Teleoceras might be from there. Oh, here we go, standing up. Yeah, you're definitely a white rhino. See that mouth. Very cool. Hyraceus around 50 million. Thank you, Murph. Yeah. Very cool. What an impressive animal. So, we've got another science streamer here on Twitch, and rhinos are their favorite animals. Anybody know who I'm talking about? It's Blint from Science Streams. Can we get a shout out for Science Streams? Blint, I hope you're having a good day. Somebody wants to clip this. You're hanging out with the rhinos and thinking of you, Blint. Hope you're having a good one. And Kierjo says, what's a rhino's temperament like, say, compared with angry hippos? So, rhinos are funny because they don't have particularly good eyesight. They have superb hearing, and they have a pretty good sense of smell, I think, but they can't see very well. And so, if you get up close to one and startle it, it might be really mad. Yeah, but they have to be kind of ill-tempered just to be able to survive in the environment that they live in. But yeah, they're certainly not friendly. They defend themselves, as they should. But I don't feel like they have the same kind of almost vindictive quality that hippos can have, you know? Yeah, they are certainly territorial, Andrew, yes. Yeah. But they're not hawk-eyed. No, there you go, Charlie's Dragon. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that might be kind of an unfair stereotype. The idea that they have, they're blind. They're not anywhere close to blind, but they don't have great eyesight. But to be fair, many mammals don't. This is funny. So yeah, when a lot of people see a rhinoceros, they might go, it reminds me of a ceratopsid dinosaur like Triceratops, but those are superficial similarities. They're not related. Triceratops is a sauropsid, it's a reptile. Rhinos are synapsids, mammals. But it is interesting how there are superficial similarities, I guess, but the thing is, you drill down to any of the details, and these are not similar animals in hardly any regard. Sure, they're big. Sometimes they have horns. They got 4 legs. That's about it. Oh, before we move on, we've got a meeting of the perissodactyls over here. We've got zebras and rhino just hanging out next to each other in separate enclosures. But that's really cool. Out of all of the animals that we've seen so far, these are some of the closest relatives to each other. It's not like they're all that close in terms of time. There's like probably 50 or 60 million years separating these two groups. But there's so few species left of their suborder, Perissodactyla. I don't know what the exact rank is, if it's a suborder or what. But there's so few species of Perissodactyl left that, there's like 7 horse species and I think 5 rhino species, 4 species of tapir. And we can look at those and go, hey, they're pretty closely related in the grand scheme of things, even though they look very different. But a bunch of the in-betweens are now gone. Anyhow. And here we have the flamingers. Look at them. Hey, flamingos. A lovely coloration. So in a zoo, flamingos like this have to be fed a special diet in order for them to express that bright pink coloration there. And look, some of them are showing off to each other. Very cool. So the coloration in their feathers comes from their diet. It's I think, carotenoids that are in their crustacean prey that they eat. So you'll see them sticking their beaks into the water like that and filtering little bits of food out. In zoos, I think they might even be given... I think it's some kind of additive. I don't want to say it's food coloring, because I'm not totally sure. But when you keep flamingos in captivity, they're not going to have that bright pink color unless you give them that additive, like they would get in the wild. Very cool. And I love these bizarre looking beaks. And the morphology on the inside of the beak is so interesting. They've got these structures in there to filter food out from the water. It almost reminds you of like a baleen whale or something. They're getting really close. And those super long, stilty legs. It's so funny just to imagine the bones inside. I should also mention, while we've got some new people here, that when you look at their legs and the way that they bend, people will say, oh, they have backwards knees, and that's completely wrong. Their knee is actually up there by their body. It's obscured by feathers. What you're looking at is their ankle. That's the bend in the middle of the leg. So their foot isn't just what's on the ground, it goes all the way up until that joint. So sure, they have long legs, but they also have very long feet. So right there, see underneath the bands there? That is actually the ankle joint. And then those are the metatarsals just below that. So the metatarsals are super long, and they give them a very, very long foot. So again, they don't have backwards knees. They just have a very long foot. Really cool. Awesome. And southern Waldorfs, so they can walk in rough terrain, no? No, they don't really walk in rough terrain. So these guys will hang out in really salty environments, like salt ponds and stuff like that. They'll feed on critters like... I don't know if they actually eat brine shrimp, but maybe similar species. They mostly feed on little crustaceans that they filter out of the water. Essentially like freshwater krill, almost. Although, it's not always freshwater. Sometimes it's very salty. But yeah. So flamingos are known from South America and from Africa. And some of them live at extremely high altitudes, too.
Bless you.
There will be these mountain lakes that are extremely saline. And these guys will hang out there where almost nobody else can survive. Pretty cool. Yeah, they're certainly waders. Exactly, Andrew, yeah. And it's neat to, like, see through their nares. So their nostrils, you can see daylight through them from one side to the other of their beak. A lot of birds are like that. Oh, they're so cool. Awesome. And Andrew Memrick says, what's the difference between male to female? You know, I don't know. I don't think they exhibit strong sexual dimorphism. I don't think the males and females are very different. Which, I think it's kind of par for the course for critters who, both the males and females take care of the young. Because I think that's the case with flamingos. It's mom and dad both takes care of the baby. And it's really cool how they feed their young. Since the adults filter feed invertebrates out of the water, in order to feed their babies, they produce a very nutritious, it's called a crop milk. So it's not milk like in mammals, but their bodies develop or produce this kind of nutrient-rich slurry, and then they regurgitate it to their babies. And since it's made from those crustaceans that they eat, it's bright red in color, it looks almost like blood. And they'll, like, regurgitate this and they'll drip it out of their beak to their babies, who then drink it up. But they often, like, as they do that, they're also, like, draining the color out of their body, too. It's wild. Remind me when we're back in the office, and I'll show you a video about this, because it's really cool and interesting. Yeah. But you see pictures of this, of them feeding their babies, and there'll be, like, a mother or father flamingo kind of resting the tip of their beak on the baby's head, and then dripping that crop milk that's bright red. It'll, like, drip down the side of the baby's head and into its mouth. And people go like, oh my god, it's killing the baby! Look at all the blood! It's like, no, they're just gently resting their beak on top and regurgitating this blood-like crop milk. And there, it's really funny looking. And there we go, here's one taking a bath in there. Their necks are so cool. They're so sinuous. So flexible. It makes me wonder what their cervical vertebrae look like. What are those neck bones like, you know? Yeah. And thank you, Brain of Purple, for the sub. I appreciate that. Hey. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's good to have you here. Hey, guys. Yeah. Very cool. So flamingos, like all birds, are dinosaurs. These are living dinosaurs. They're a member of the theropod group. It's the only group of dinosaurs that survives today. So flamingos and penguins and hummingbirds and ostriches and sparrows, they all evolved from an earlier theropod dinosaur. Pretty cool to think about. Yeah, neat. Ooh, are we going to get to see some Galapagos tortoises? Could we be so lucky? Yeah, there we are. They're usually not the most animated animals, but there's one chilling out on the ground over there. Looks like a big rock. Yeah. Very cool. So Galapagos tortoises show a lot of sexual dimorphism. The males and the females are very different. The males tend to be much larger. So I guess these are, yeah, Emmy and Jojo. And they are both females, I presume. Yeah. On cold weather days, these ladies may have partial or limited access to habitat. So yeah, they gotta stay warm during the day if it's cold out. Super cool. Neat. Eli says, good they have such a wide ditch or they would jump over. I don't know if this was originally engineered as Galapagos tortoise habitat. I wonder if they originally had somebody else in here, but yeah, it works for them. Neat. That's funny in that sense. Turtles are fun to watch. Alright, who do we have over here? An emu! Hello there! You're beautiful. So we have an emu here trying to cool down in the shade. That mouth is open, kind of panting like that to expel heat. You are gorgeous. Look at you. This is the emu is the second largest species of bird in the world by weight. Second only to the ostrich. And they are such cool animals. I love emus so much. Yeah. Another living dinosaur here. Like the flamingos. Let's see, do we have any more? Huh. I'm only seeing one so far. But yeah. It's, is it Emu dromaeus? Is that the genus and species name for an emu? Really cool. Yeah. Shaking away some flies there. Hey there, friend. And I love the, like, scraggly hair, almost like a half afro thing that they develop sometimes. It's very funny. It helps cool down the top of their head. It means that they're not exposed to direct sunlight. Yeah. Wish we could get a little closer, but man, what a cool critter. Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, Dromaeus novohollandii. Thank you, Charlie's Dragon. Yeah. Appreciate that. And what's making that noise? There's some primates back there making that noise. Or no, hang on. Maybe those are those are the flamingos, sorry. They're being quite noisy. I'll go back and look for a second. Yeah. Very cool. Each one of these exhibits I could just stay at all day. You know, it's honestly one of my favorite things to do is just bring a sketchbook to the zoo and a pair of binoculars and just go around and draw the different animals. But lucky for you at home, we're not doing that today. Oh, and look who it is. Can we get some Parasaurolophus emotes in the chat? Yeah, that is about life size for one of these guys. The head is a little wide, but that crest can be almost 2 meters long, about 6 feet. Yeah, big old duck-billed dinosaur. Nice. That's your favorite? Super wormy? Nice. It is certainly a charismatic dinosaur. A lot of people love Parasaurolophus. And there's a few species of these animals that we know about now. There's Parasaurolophus walkeri, Parasaurolophus tubicen, and the other species are slipping my mind at the moment. But really cool. I'm going to get some water real quick while I've got the chance, and then we'll continue looking at our Parasaurolophus. Oh, beautiful cycad here too. Cycas revoluta, a sago cycad. That is a big one. All right, let's get some water. That's better, thanks. Another big cycad back there. I wonder if we've got like a male and a female next to each other. These are dioecious plants. So unlike a lot of other plants, you can have separate males and females. And they produce cones. And then beetles and other pollinators will bring the pollen back and forth and fertilize them. And this one looks like it's getting ready to produce a cone. Either that or a new flush of leaves. But there's a lot of stuff going on there at the top of the caudex. Something's going to happen. Very cool. Cycads like this are really popular at zoos because they look really exotic and they're pretty slow growing and low maintenance. So, yeah, they've got a certain draw to them for sure. But, yeah, they don't take too much care or anything like that. Not super high maintenance. I love that you can see the teeth on the inside of the mouth, too. Some nice detailing there. So hadrosaurs like this, members of this family, they're famous for having the most teeth out of any dinosaurs. Synonyms estimated at like around 1,000 or something like that. And they've got this dental battery with all of these teeth lined up in almost a pavement. And when they chew, multiples of these teeth, not just like one row, but several rows at a time, are making contact with one another and grinding up the food. It's pretty impressive. And it's not like, say, a cow or something where the molars just kind of come together in a crushing motion. Instead, the teeth almost grind past each other, almost shear past each other, almost like a pair of scissors or something like that. Really cool. That sound is really funny. Kind of an interesting sound choice for a dinosaur like Parasaurolophus. Most of you probably know this already, but the big crest on the back of the head is thought to be like a resonating chamber. So when some of my colleagues, people like Dave Weishample, when they were studying these animals, they were looking at the interior of the crest and they realized that it's hollow. And it's hooked up to the nasal passages. So you see the nostril down there at the end? The air passageways go up to the end of the crest and then they loop around and go up past the brain case and then down to like the windpipe. So it's a big extension of the airway that goes through that crest. And presumably it could be used to produce sounds. So some of my other colleagues, people like Michael Chiappone, have actually modeled what that would sound like. You know, by building a scale model of this and then pushing air through it, you can have a rough approximation for what these animals would sound like. Super cool stuff. Yeah, it is kind of like a Vuvuzela Trek nerd, yeah. Yeah. And there you go, Petrodactylus, yeah. And Andrew Memrek says, could it have been used as a sort of sonar? I don't think there's any indication of that. It's more for producing sound than for, like, echolocating. Yeah. And it would also be used for display, too. So having that big crest on the end of the head This would look different in different individuals. It grows a lot as the animal grows. It changes shape as the animal is maturing. And so it's a way for members of the same family group to be able to recognize one another, maybe. Yeah. The more we've learned about dinosaurs during the Mesozoic, the more we realize that these are probably very social animals, living in groups, hanging out with each other, communicating. And so much of their anatomy points to that. And here we go, case in point, we've got a living dinosaur here. Hey there, what are you? Are you a quetzal or something? But look at the bright coloration around the eyes and the beak. Many birds have very characteristic calls. So people who are very good at birding, people who really know their birds, they'll be able to tell from just a tiny snippet of a bird call exactly what species they're hearing. Presumably the birds are even better at that. But yeah, who is this here? Oh, a turaco. Okay. White-cheeked turaco. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Very, very cool. Forested and wooded habitats of East Africa. And you can look at that bright coloration around the eyes. There's that feathery head crest on top, so I'm sure they can push that down or bring it up depending on their mood or what they're trying to communicate. Really cool. So for a dinosaur like Parasaurolophus, here the crest is kind of rubbery. It wouldn't be like that in life. You know, that's a bony crest, it's rigid. So they would have to have other ways of showing their mood, maybe sound or something like that, I guess, like we see here. He's in a roary kind of mood, I guess. But with modern dinosaurs like these birds, those crests are mobile. So they can move them up and down. I think that proffers certain advantages. Anyhow. I think we've got some primates over here. Yeah, there we go. How you doing, primate friend? Who are you? Some more of our relatives here. Oop. Climbing on the enclosure. Very cool. There's some kind of monkey here. I don't know if this is a New World or Old World monkey. We'll go around and we'll see the sign. Ooh, we're finding some good food in there. Nice. Wolf's cranium. Cercopithecus wolfi. Interesting. Yeah. Look at that face. That's so funny. Nice. They are from Central Africa. So we were just talking about communication in dinosaurs, including birds. Primates are often very social animals as well. So these guys have a variety of ways to communicate, 7 different vocalizations, facial expressions, and body posturing. Stay and watch the Guenyans. You may pick up on their subtle communication with one another. Cool. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know if I've ever heard that word said before. Guenon? Guenon? Got some very excited birds over here. Let's take a look real quick. Oh, very cool. Here, I'll let the keepers do their thing. I don't want to put them on blast or anything. Ugh. But let's take a look at the world's largest kingfisher over here. The kookaburra. Very cool. Hey there, kookaburra friend. How you doing? I like your leg band. It's pretty snazzy. Blue? I've got a wristband on. That's something we have in common. Yeah. Nice. You're beautiful. You know that? You do know that. I'm sure you get told that every day. How's it going? And look at that big, thick bill like that. So kookaburras are kind of generalist predators. They'll eat everything from snakes to frogs to little mammals to carrion to insects. They might even eat plants every once in a while. So that bill is kind of a multi-tool in the sense that, well, I don't know. Actually, multi-tool implies there's a bunch of different parts, I guess. This is not like that. They're just very well-rounded kind of tool. Huh. Yeah. The birds every single day. There you go. Can we get a shout out for California birds? This is a bird you won't see commonly in California. We do have other members of this group here in the Golden State. We get belted kingfishers, which are a member of the same family as the kookaburra. Same family or same clade, I don't know. I don't know if kingfishers worldwide are just a family or if they're a broader group. We get relatives with these guys, belted kingfishers, where I live. Always near water. Yeah. There you go, Wind 528. Yeah. How are you doing? You having a good day? It's been cool hanging out with all the living dinosaurs and the extinct animatronic ones here too. If anybody's just joining us, welcome to Paleontologizing. I'm here at the Sacramento Zoo today. This is the first time I've ever been to the Sacramento Zoo. And you know what? I am impressed. I'd never really heard much about this zoo, but turns out it's pretty great. It's a little on the small side for sure, but I don't know. I'm impressed. So big props to the Sac Zoo. And I like that they have a giraffe in their logo. That is probably the largest animal that they have on display here, and one of the most impressive, aside from the dinosaurs, during this temporary exhibit that they have. Yeah. Gazaway says zoos are wonderful. I just wish they received more land and money. Me too. I've heard that the Sacramento Zoo has actually they've been trying to expand for a number of years, and it's been difficult. Like, some of these plans that they've put together have fallen through in the past. I've heard that there's some vacant land nearby that they would love to be able to expand into, but I think it comes down to money ultimately. So, I don't know if we have any fantastically wealthy people in the chat and they'd like to make a big difference for the people of Sacramento and for the animals in this zoo. Consider donating to the Sacramento Zoo. This is a worthy cause. Again, I'm impressed, and not just with the animals and the exhibits, but with the foliage here too. These redwoods are lovely. They're really beautiful. Yeah, and then we've got this huge oak across the street over there too. Probably well over 100 years old. What a cool spot, you know? I'm impressed. This is neat. And Fairy Tale Town. I don't know if it is Claire Burr. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I didn't see any signs for that. But I think there was some sort of a defunct attraction across the street that at one point they were hoping to expand into, and those plans fell through from what I understand, but maybe someday it'll happen. Yeah. Alien Anarchy says it is. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Okay. Thunderland. Oh, neat. Okay. Cool. All right, we'll hang out with our kookaburra for another minute or two. How you doing there, friend? It seems like you're looking for attention. You're right up near the near side of the exhibit. You having a snooze? Oh, there we go. Look at that big impressive beak. That really is something. So cool. It's the world's largest kingfisher. Very cool. Oh, we've got kookaburra number 2. Well, well, well. I love their nest box over there. That's really nice. So in the wild, they would nest in tree cavities, presumably including like a eucalyptus trunk, right? I think there's several songs about kookaburras and old gum trees, right? Look at that mouth open on this one. That might be female. She looks maybe a little bit smaller. But trying to cool down, keeping that beak open, letting some heat out through there. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Very cool. We'll go over here and... Oh, we've got the emu out and about, walking around. Going into that food bucket there. What a cool critter. So we kind of touched on this yesterday a little bit during the stream.
Elsie, the carousel's going to start!
Emus are a kind of paleognathe bird. So there's 2 major clades of birds nowadays. The paleognathes and the neognathes. I think that Galloanceray is part of the neognathes, right? Anyway, paleognathe means ancient jaw. So there's something about the structure of their jaws that sets them apart from the much larger clade of birds today, the neognathes. So the paleognathes are all of the ratites, ostriches, emus, cassowaries, rheas, and also the tinamous of South America. They are the paleognathes, and I think that's all of them that are around today. I'm pretty sure that moas and elephant birds, they were paleognathes too. But they, unfortunately, thanks to us human beings, are no longer around. They went extinct after human beings reached their islands and... Yeah, anyway, you know how that goes. So there's something like... I think it's like maybe 70 species of paleognathes around today. Somebody can look it up. But the neognathes, there's well over 9,000 species. That's all of the other bird species around today are neognathes. So it makes emus and ostriches and cassowaries, tinamous, rheas, it makes them pretty special, you know? They're the last surviving members of that group. So cool. Yeah. Oh, and kiwis. Thank you, Charlie's Dragon. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Crimson. Yes. Kiwi as well. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Gotta love emus. They're such neat critters. And then, yep, kookaburra with the mouth open, trying to cool down. Oh. You're so cool. I could sit here and watch them all day too, but we gotta keep moving. What a joy to be able to see those critters, you know? I'm so glad you went home. We're able to enjoy this too. Here we are coming back around to the zoo entrance. And here's who was making all that noise earlier. We've got some sort of psittaciform bird here, right? What are you up to, friends? Ooh, hey there, parrots. Is it feeding time? Nice. Everybody's crunching on their foot. Can you hear the crunching? clicking. Cracking open some nuts. Very cool. Let's go around and see what species this might be. Fueled by Sid says hi from Carousel. You here right now? Is that what you're saying? Wow. These are beautiful. Thick-billed parrots. Rinco sitaka, pachyrinca. So rinca means like beak, I think. And sita, that's the either Latin or Greek name for parrot. So it's like parrot beak, thick beak, pachyrinca. Wow. You're beautiful. You know that? I'm sure you get that all the time too. It's interesting looking at the different bands that they have on their legs. I'm sure there's numbers on those and maybe letters. There's probably a spreadsheet keeping track of who's who. Very cool. And you see the zygodactyl condition that they have there too, where they've got 2 toes that face forward and 2 that face backward, just like a woodpecker. Yeah. So it helps them cling to different surfaces like that. Unlike a lot of other birds that kind of have to perch on a branch or something, these guys can cling to the bark on the side of a tree or maybe a cliff face. Lots of stuff like that. Really cool. Fueled by Sid says, as an employee, we love finding content creators who come to the zoo. It's awesome. Thank you for helping run this place. It's such a privilege to be able to visit and see all these critters. Thank you for doing what you do. This is great. Let me know if you want me to come over and talk to you, because I'd be pleased to if you want to be on camera. Yeah. By the way, can we do our command to donate too, just in case if anybody's feeling generous today and they'd like to help support the Sacramento Zoo? We've got a link there if you'd like to contribute. Thank you, Claire. Wow. So this individual parrot's just checking me out. How you doing, friend? Things good? You having a good day? Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Ice Ellen says, I love zoo trips. Me too. Me too. As a little reminder, we're going to be in Florida in about a week and a half, I think. Going to be visiting a few different facilities there and doing some field work with leatherback turtle researchers. I cannot wait for that. And I'm going to still trying to figure out which streams will be possible. I don't know if we'll be able to stream the nesting fieldwork on the beaches, but I'll be taking you to a few different cool places where we can see some wildlife, both in the wild and in captivity. So I'm very excited about that. And I hope you are too. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah? Is that right? I love the yellow splotches around their eyes. Just striking coloration. They're pretty cool, you know that? Yeah, you know that. Anyway, speaking of pretty cool, this is not a bird, nor is it a dinosaur. But we have a big old pterosaur model back here. I wonder if this is supposed to be Tapejara. Let's take a look. Yeah, where is Petrodactylus? You should want to see this. There we go. Oh, Tupondactylus. Very cool. Yeah, and I think that is about actual size. That's really neat. You know what? Actually, I don't know that. I'm not an expert on pterosaurs in particular. This could be larger than life. I wouldn't know. But really cool. Really cool. Yeah. Very cool. So this is related to critters like Tapejara. They're these really neat South American pterosaurs that have this really elaborate headgear like that. And it almost certainly would have been brightly colored for display. But there's also got to be something to do with aerodynamics there, too. When you've got something that big and unwieldy on your head, it's got to affect your flying. It's like having a giant rudder on your nose, you know? Yeah. Very cool. Stood about 1.5 meters tall. Okay. Yeah. Nice. And nuts ends, it's funny that you mentioned Maya Higa, right? At Alveus Sanctuary. I was talking with her team about maybe going out there to Austin at some point, and I was just too busy so far this year. I really wanted to make sure that the leatherback turtle stuff fell into place, and it is. I'm very happy about that. But hopefully before too long, I'll be able to do something out there. We'll see. You know, if they still want me to. We've got our alligator enclosure over here, and there's the gator over there. Nice. Yeah. Here. I don't know if you can see. Right there toward the edge of the pond over there. It's clearly been sitting there for a while because not recently submerged because the back is all dry now. But yeah, let's go get a slightly closer look. There we go. By the train here.
Yeah, surgery.
Alright. And there we go. Alligator Mississippiensis. You see right there? Very cool. It's a warm enough day that it can be mostly in the water, still stay warm enough. I'm so excited to see some wild gators out there in Florida in a couple weeks. That is going to be really, really cool. But yeah. Out of all of the creatures that we're seeing today that are not dinosaurs, these are the closest living relatives to dinosaurs. Crocodilians and birds today are both members of the group Archosauria, and dinosaurs are members of that group as well. So, crocodilians, like the alligator, are kind of like cousins to the dinosaurs, whereas birds literally are a kind of dinosaur. They're descendants of theropods. You know, I say this all the time when we're back in the office, but I figure we've probably got some new viewers today, that's worth saying. Let's go over here. Let's see what's over in this area. We've got a big crowd over here. Is somebody being fed? What's going on? Oh, interesting, Claire. SciShow. I should check that out. Huh. Let's take a look over here. Oh, a snow leopard? Jaguar.
All that nutrition and live a healthy life. She also receives on the first Sunday of every month, so she received that this last Sunday, a carcass feed.
What that means is we give her a larger piece of carcass. Usually it's going to be like half of a pig, half of a goat, something like that. That way we can get her out there and get her to do all of her processing behaviors, tearing that body apart, getting all the good bits inside and eating it up, unlike what we normally present, which is the smaller diet items that she doesn't necessarily have to process. Unfortunately, we can't give her whole prey items every day or as frequently, as it is a little bit cost prohibitive, but it is great to give it to her as often as we can. So right now we're having Sasha do one of her more advanced behaviors, excuse me. So this is a lineup behavior that we use for hand injection. So if you see on that bench there behind her, before she got up there, there are a couple of pieces of wood. Those are back there to help guide her into position. We just ask her into that area there. You'll also see that we use the buoy there, that target pole, as in this, so you can see how we do use it to shape some of those more advanced behaviors. We just place that target pole on the left there. We ask her into that space. The guides kind of help guide her into the position where she is lined up sideways against the mesh. And then we will distract her or give her a reward by her face, hold the hand, ask her for the position, and then we will present. Initially, we'll start off just putting our hand down near her hindquarters there. Eventually, we'll work up to probably using something like the base of the target pole or something else, very, very blunt item, to just gently poke her on the hip there. And then we'll work up further and further. Maybe we'll get to like a ballpoint pen. Eventually, we'll get to a bludgeon needle. And we can,
a jaguar right there. Panthera onca. I really don't want to be obnoxious and get up there with the camera while other people are trying to enjoy that. We have jaguars back at the Oakland Zoo, too, my hometown zoo. And it's always very cool to see them. Oh, and we've got a fence lizard over here. A wild one. Hey there, friend. Look, watch my shadow on the ground. I'm pointing at him. See him right there? There we go. Hey, fence lizard. It's genus Scaloporus right there. I think. That might even be the same species as the famous blue belly lizard, as kids call them. The males have these blue splotches on the sides of their bellies. But yeah. That's a California native right there. Provided I got the ID correct. But hey there. Oh. Alright, we don't want to frighten him. Yeah, neat. It's always interesting to see the different animals that show up at a zoo more or less uninvited. They might be native, like this red squirrel here. Are you a red squirrel? Looking for bits of food and stuff. Yeah. Nice. Cool. They benefit too. Exactly, rainforester. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, if people are going to be respectful of animals anywhere, hopefully it's at the zoo. You know. Yeah. So like it's probably a pretty safe place to be a squirrel. Some American alligator signage there. And then, we've got some turtles over here. Who are these? Oh, but first, of course, our obligatory Tyrannosaur. Pretty big chin on this Tyrannosaur. If there's one neat thing that I think this illustrates, it's the depth perception that these animals would have had. So tyrannosaurs they have a condition that's fairly rare in non-avian dinosaurs. They would have had stereoscopic vision, so they could see directly in front of them. This might have been a big advantage in terms of being able to lunge at prey and stuff like that. But yeah. Most other dinosaurs, like the Allosaurus that I showed you earlier, they don't have that. They don't have strong depth perception in the way that a Tyrannosaur would, you know? So, you can look directly in front of them. Pretty neat. And then, okay, here we go. So we've got western pond turtles here. Yeah, Actinemes marmorata, the only freshwater turtle species native to California. Very cool, and there they are. Awesome. Hey, little guys. Hope you're having a good day. And I see some little stickers there on the back of the carapace, on the one on the right. These must be to help identify them. Very nice. Yeah. And for all the wonderful things that we have here in California, we do not have very many species of turtle. I guess this is the only freshwater turtle species. And then we get, I think, about 3 marine turtles. Obviously, we get leatherbacks, the state marine reptile of California. And I think we might have, I know we've got some sort of desert tortoise down in the southern part of the state. But, yeah. Again, for all the cool things about California, we don't have that many turtle species. Compare that with, say, Florida, which has like 25 different species of turtle. Both freshwater turtles and tortoises and marine turtles. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. What about lizards, says Rainforester? We've got a fair number of lizard species, for sure. Yeah. Oh, and there's one right there. Another one darting across the path. Yeah, we've got plenty of lizards in California. Fence lizards, alligator lizards. I think we might have some skink species. Yeah, we've got a few. Yeah, there's the Allosaurus and Stegosaurus across the little lake here. And what water bird is that? Who are you right there? Not sure what kind of duck that is. There's like a big white patch around the eye. Small duck, mostly brown. Who are you? There's a ton of duck species in this part of California because right near Sacramento, you get these big river systems and a lot of wetlands. And so you get all kinds of different ducks and other water birds like that. So you get like mallards and pintails and coots and grebes and all kinds of other birds. Really cool. But I'm not sure who that one was. This is like a fisheye lens on this camera, so it's not... I wish we had like a proper zoom or something, but we don't. And holy cow, look who it is over there. Oh, fantastic. I didn't know this was here. Oh, I'm so pleased. You know who this is, chat. Yeah. This is life size. Or close to it. I love that the wing fingers come out to the sides like that. That they move. That's so cool. But yeah, this is Quetzalcoatlus. One of the very largest of the pterosaurs. This is a member of Asdarchidae. The Asdarchid pterosaurs are huge. And we think they probably spent a lot of time on land. They were capable of flying, obviously. But they may have spent the majority of their time on the ground. And they've got these huge beaks like that. It almost looks like... It reminds me of a marabou stork, who are kind of generalist predators. It's easy to imagine these guys being the same way. But pretty impressive. The neck is maybe a little bit long, but the beak could be longer. But otherwise, the proportions are pretty good. And again, I love seeing those wing fingers splay out to the sides like that. So this helps illustrate an important point. I've made this many times before, but we've got new people here in the chat. The wing membrane on pterosaurs. Well, first of all, before we get to that, pterosaurs are not a kind of dinosaur. These guys are closely related to dinosaurs. They're part of the same major group of reptiles. But think of them more like cousins to the dinosaurs. Anyway, great big finger bone protruding right there. So that is actually digit 4. That's equivalent to your ring finger right here. You see, there's the thumb, first finger, middle finger, and then that is the ring finger right there. So the name pterodactyl actually means wing finger, because their wing is made of that hyper elongate fourth digit. So that is their ring finger right there that forms the wing membrane. Really cool. Super cool. And even the name Quetzalcoatlus is evocative. So it's named after, it's like a Mexican deity, I think? Quetzalcoatl? I'm not sure what language. It might be Nahuatl language. But like an Aztec god, essentially. The feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl. When paleontologists like Juan Langston discovered fossils of these critters in Texas, they wanted to give them a name befitting such a big, almost legendary animal. So Quetzalcoatlus it was. Quetzalcoatlus northropi, after like Northrop, which is now Northrop Grumman, like aircraft manufacturer. And these guys would have a wingspan matching that of a small plane, like maybe a Piper Cub or bigger. They've got the same wingspan as some smaller fighter jets, which is pretty cool to think about. Pretty darn cool. Pretty darn cool. Imagine seeing one of these animals in life, seeing it, you know, soaring and banking through the sky, and then alighting down on the ground, landing, sidling up next to you. It's a flying creature as tall as a giraffe. Just... Sometimes I like to think about, like, what are the most impressive sights to see during the entire 4 billion year history of life on Earth? I think this makes the short list. Really big pterosaurs like this. Just extraordinary, you know? Oh, no, what? Thank you, Gravity. Quetzalcoatl means feathered snake. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Yeah. And Luke Herman says, why did they put dino animatronics in the zoo? So this is a temporary exhibit thing that they have called Dino Safari. I think that's what they're calling it. But there's a company that produces these, and then they rent them out to different facilities and events and things like that. So I think these are here until October, and then they're going to go away. Surely to some other location. Yeah. Yeah. A giraffe-sized animal colliding overhead. There you go, California birds. Well, lucky for you, they've been extinct for 66 million years. So, I think that's a comfortable temporal distance, right? So I think that might be pretty much all of the animals, both extinct and extant, that we'll see today. We'll walk by the Allosaurs and Stegosaurs and the Utahraptor and the Tyrannosaurus and the Triceratops again. And then I think we might wrap this up. Yeah. And so, yeah, you're right. I think they don't want to put anything like that big and noisy next to the giraffes, though, because giraffes are famously pretty skittish animals.
I discovered the double Moana after we got...
I remember reading a story about... I think they were giraffes at, like, the Bronx Zoo or something in New York. And at one point, like, a child lost control of a balloon, and it like drifted into the giraffe enclosure, and the giraffe saw it, and they were terrified, and they didn't want to come out of their barn for like a week after that. So I think giraffes have a reputation for being pretty skittish. Anyhow. Yeah, let's go see the Allosaurus again real quick before we go. And then we'll take a look at the Utah Raptor. Well, let's take a look at the Utah Raptor first. Largest dromaeosaur in the world that we know of. Member of the same family as Velociraptor. And it's an impressive animal. This is maybe a little bit larger than life size. But maybe they could get a little bigger too. I don't know. But pretty impressive, you know? What a cool animal. And yeah, the Jurassic Park sounds. Exactly, Luke, yeah. And is this 1-to-1 size, says Nobarum? This is a little bit bigger than a real Utah Raptor. I have a Utah Raptor skull model in my office. And it's definitely smaller than the head that you see here. So that is a little bit too big for this animal. But it at least gives you a pretty good sense for, you know, it's not a small critter, even if it is slightly too large. But again, I love the feathers on this, you know. At this point, you know, it's about 30 years after the discovery that these animals had feathers, so I'm really glad that they've caught up, and it's standard practice now to feather these guys, which is good. But, yeah, pretty impressive. And before we wrap up, I want to show you the Allosaurus as well real quick. Yeah, hi there, how's it going?
People are watching you right now.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah,
Oh, wonderful. At the carousel? Awesome, yeah.
She told me you were here. She goes, oh, there's this one.
Yeah, I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, so I knew I had to come here when I had heard that you had the dinosaur exhibit running.
Back,
so
yeah,
very cool. It
is.
Hopefully that's increased visitorship a little bit more too.
It always does.
Yeah.
Kids love them.
Exactly. Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you for your work here. This is such a special place. It's my first time visiting, and I'm impressed.
Where are you from?
From Oakland.
From Oakland.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a very nice zoo there, but
You have a great zoo.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have like a YouTube
All right,
channel
thank
or
you,
something?
sir.
Yeah, thank you. A Twitch channel, actually. Yeah. If you look up paleontologizing, it's like paleontology, but make it a verb.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll look you up.
Thanks. Yeah. Have a good one. Yeah. Again, I wanted to return to the Allosaurus over here because this really is lovely. This is my favorite one of these animatronics. It's really big and impressive. It's not quite Tyrannosaurus sized, but this is about as big as Allosaurus would have gotten. Maybe a little bigger. But I just love the detailing on the head. Whoever sculpted this knew what they were doing. It is superb. And it's got a pretty nice range of motion on it. Yeah. And you're pretty cool too, Stegosaurus, but I don't know. You're looking a little worse for wear. Those droopy plates. But man, this Allosaurus here, just exquisite. You know, it's one thing to have a mounted skeleton of a dinosaur. That's, you know, I think kind of the creme de la creme of dinosaur displays. And, you know, maybe a few steps down from that is a stationary model of a dinosaur, but there's something about making the move. It seems so simple, and yet, yeah. It adds so much, especially for kids. You know? I think we human beings are not used to seeing such big things move around of their own accord. You know, there's not many animals nowadays that are in the size range of stuff like this. It's a great way to get people excited about these animals, I guess, you know? And to really, I don't know, I've noticed a disconnect sometimes when I'm talking with visitors at museums where you show them a skeleton and they, yeah, it requires a lot of imagination to picture it as a living animal. With something like this, the imagination is done for you. And you know what? Sometimes that's nice, especially if it's as well done as this. Love this Allosaurus. It's so good. Excellent. And Luke Herman's, yeah, Stegosaurus and Allosaurus, not only did they live at the same time and place, but they interacted. So we have fossils of Stegosaurus that seem to have Allosaurus bite marks on them. And we've got Allosaurus skeletons with what seem an awful lot like battle scars, punctures in the vertebrae or in the hip bones or other parts of the body that seem to be from the spikes from stegosaur tails. So these are critters that they interacted. A lot like Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus here. And these are two critters that lived at the same time and the same place, and we know that they interacted. A bunch of Triceratops fossils have bite marks that are characteristic of Tyrannosaur teeth. And so far I don't know of any Tyrannosaurus specimens that seem to have horn puncture holes or anything, but maybe someday we'll get that. But yeah, these two guys, they live together. Pretty darn cool. Yeah. And River, the Oceanist, says hello from the Sac Zoo train. Well, hello to you. Good to have you here. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been a joy. I should probably get going here, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. But this has been so nice. Again, my first visit to the Sacramento Zoo. This place is wonderful. Holy cow. If any of you watching haven't had a chance to visit, or if you've been, but it's been a few years, take the time to come out here. Come visit the Sacramento Zoo. Support these folks. Support this institution. It's pretty darn cool. And if you come before October, you can see these dinosaurs, which I'm impressed with how well integrated they are with the rest of the zoo. Whoever put this together knew what they were doing. I'm impressed. This has been very, very cool. Anyway, with that having been said, let's see if we can go right into somebody else. Maybe somebody else doing some science right now. And Garacabulca, some other Tyrannosaurs also had stereoscopic vision. Yeah. All right, let's see who else is on Twitch at the moment. And, yeah, here we go. Let's see. You know what? Let's go right into Alveus Sanctuary. We'll go see some more animals there. I think that'll be appropriate after a zoo stream. There we go. Alveus. Gotta put the C in there. Sanctuary. And they do have follower or subscriber only chat, just so you know. But, yeah, good stuff. There we go. Well, thank you everybody for showing up today. I hope you enjoyed this half as much as I did. Holy cow. This has been wonderful. Stay tuned, we'll be doing some more IRL streams like this throughout the rest of the month. Going to be going to Florida next week and hopefully seeing a bunch of cool live animals, including leatherback turtles. I cannot wait to see one of these creatures that I've been obsessed with over the past year. It's going to be really neat. But anyway, and big thank you to the Sacramento Zoo. Support this place if you have the opportunity. It's really cool. Anyway, take care, everybody. We're going to go right into Alveus Sanctuary, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.